Hello. Today we are going to discuss Bailey's test results for the two assessments that he took in the previous month. He took the Wechsler Achievement Test and the Woodcock Reading Mastery Tests. The Wechsler deals with a lot of different categories, including arithmetic, vocabulary, visuals, things like that. The Woodcock Reading Mastery Test is just strictly reading and other components that relate to reading. So it really gave us a great range of information on Bailey's depth of knowledge in these areas. So before we begin going through each test separately, I want to just explain a little bit how we did this. So Bailey was my participant, so he took these tests and I administered them to him, and afterwards I took the raw score, or the actual score Bailey got, and I correlated it with a lot of charts in the back of these manuals that these test creators made. And so a lot of it has to do with taking the raw score and correlating it to these charts to get numbers, and then subtracting and adding things to get other numbers. And it's kind of a complicated process, but it's what gives us all this great information and helping us guide instruction for Bailey. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the Wechsler, since it is the first one I administered that he took. And so we have total raw score to scale score conversion. We have another conversion chart, profiles, and an analysis page. And the biggest takeaway from all of these numbers is this percentile rank. And Bailey shows a lot of strengths in a lot of areas of this test. His highest percentile rank, he's in the 80th percentile for working memory. He has a great memory, and that's something I noticed too while administering the test. He was able to remember a lot of things. An area of weakness for him, though, was perceptual reasoning, such as the visual puzzles, and where he scored in the 30th percentile rank. And these charts or graphs over here kind of solidify what I just said. Here's the average bar, and he scores below average in those areas, but above average in a lot of areas. So he is doing well. On the analysis page, we have the discrepancy comparison and determining strengths and weaknesses. And so I really looked at the determining strengths and weaknesses in helping me guide instruction for Bailey. And kind of like what I just said on the other page, he shows a great strength in arithmetic, and a lot of that has to do with that memory, but he does show weakness in visual puzzles, which is that perceptual reasoning. So that is really an area we could work on with Bailey. This second test, the Woodcock Reading Mastery Test, Bailey did awesome. In every area except for one, he scored above average. He is doing very well with his reading. Here we have word identification, word attack, word comprehension, and passage comprehension of the instructional level profile, and he is above grade average for a junior in high school. So he is doing really well in those. And so there were a lot of calculations made, and this is just an example of the summary of scores page where I did a lot of work of finding the raw score and subtracting differences and finding t-scores and standard scores and things like that. And he is above average again. I mean, he did really well in this, on this test. And something that I did notice, though, is that the only area where he had some difficulties was his letter identification. So here we have the percentile rank profile, and in visual auditory learning, in word identification, word attack, word comprehension, passage comprehension, he scored in the 80th percentile and up. very bright kid. The one area was letter identification, in which he scored the lowest percentile. When I administered the test, he did awesome until the very end with cursive writing, and he missed 3, which really skewed some of the results, such as this readiness cluster. Kind of knocked him back compared to all the other clusters. And so I was considering that result and thinking about it, and it is an area that we can work on, because I realized that cursive is not something that a lot of kids use these days. And so he might not have known that stuff, but going out into the real world, there are going to be people that write in a bunch of different fonts, and he needs to be able to recognize those letters. And so I feel that that is an area that we can work on. But overall, very bright kid, scoring above average in a lot of areas from math to reading. So you should be very proud of your son. He did awesome while taking the test. So thank you.